What's up, everybody? Hey, it is Mike Widmer with the Expansion Real Estate Group. Happy Friday to you. Hope you guys all had an amazing, safe 4th of July weekend, awesome summer vacations, and just, enjoying this heat. It's some sort of special hot right now, man. I left a pair of flip-flops out by the pool this last weekend, and they literally melted. They melted. They curled up and they melted. It was ridiculous. But hope you guys are doing great. Appreciate you guys. And believe it or not, school starts next week already here in Chandler. So moving right through the year, let's jump in and see what the real estate market is doing. So here is our Cromford Market Index. And man, are we just kind of being super consistent. That's a pretty straight line right there. So we ended off last month at 106.8, and we started this month off at 102.6. So we had a 4.2 point drop in the market index, just about the same as last month. And then today we're sitting at 101.6. So we've dropped 1 point in the first 10, 11 days of the market or the month. And so we're kind of looking like about the same thing, might be a little bit lower this time next month, but I think we might cross that 100-point threshold. So good news is that the listing inventory stayed exactly the same. Last month we had 13,873, and this month we have 13,866. So literally unchanged in that single active homes for sale. Demand, on the other hand, did drop a little bit. Demand you can kind of see here. I think that's seasonality, right? That's summertime, people being out, and it's hot here in Phoenix, so that's kind of to be expected here in this market. So demand's down a little bit, but supply stayed pretty much the same. So that's good news for us. And if we look at our Cromford Market Daily on the index on the daily, there's that same straight line. Like, it's not perfectly straight, but boy, it's super consistent, and we are really approaching that 100-point threshold, which is a totally balanced market. And that's one thing I want to show you today. As this market changes, I think it's super important, and really more for sellers than buyers, to set proper expectations. For buyers, they don't have any expectations. They've been run through the ringer for the last 3 or 4 years. So any good news for them, they're thrilled as that. But the sellers, I want to show you here is so this is the last 3 years of the Cromford Market Index on the weekly, and I put in 2007 here for a reference. 2007 was probably the worst year we had. What was the worst year we had? And this was way down in the 30s. It was basically impossible to sell a house in 2007. So what I want to show you here is, especially for sellers, this right here in 2022, when the rates first started to go up, that's a very drastic drop, right? You're going to feel that. You're going to notice that. You're going to hear about the news, things are going on. And so you already have kind of a heightened awareness that things are changing. And then, so we had that whole drop off. And then last year, when they kind of lowered rates a little bit, we had a little bit of an uprise in 2023 and got back up to about 160 for, remember that, 3 or 4 months, we were sitting pretty steady at that 160. And that's a pretty strong seller's market. You're not going to get 25, 30 offers, but you're going to sell your house in the first week or two. And, overall, over the history of time, that's pretty good. But then they raised the rates back up, and we started to drop, and we had a little bit of an increase here, just because every year at the beginning of the year the market increases. But they raised rates again, and we've been at this just steady, this really slow decline. And you don't feel this. That's what the thing for sellers. The sellers still kind of think we're right here because we're not hearing about this drastic drop in the news, all these things. So just be prepared as a seller that what's going to happen. We're going to have longer days on market, right? You're not going to have 10 or 15 showings that first week. You may have 1 or 2. And I heard somebody say the other day, said, a seller in this market, you got to love the buyer you get, right? We can't be too picky. If you get an offer, you really got to try to make that offer work, because you don't know when the next one is going to come. So think about that. And then also, cancellations are up. Expireds are up. Homes that, for years, from 2020 to 2022, there was hardly any cancellations because every single home sold. Nobody ever expired. So just more of those things to happen. So one good thing that could change us, I've been saying this for a while, is they are starting to hint that in September, there's a chance they're going to cut that Fed rate. And again, we will probably see lower interest rates ahead of that time if they say they're going to cut, because the market will react ahead of time. And again, if we can get below that 6% level, below the 7% level in rates, the activity will pick up. That's been kind of the threshold all along. Anywhere if we get around 6.5 or 6.25 towards the end of the year, hopefully we'll see some things come up here. So, but yeah, just an interesting chart to kind of see the different variations of what the market's been doing. But right now, honestly, it feels kind of boring. So this is another reason why it's super important that you need to have good counsel, right? You need to have a realtor who's going to sit down with you and really shoot you straight, tell you what's going to happen. It doesn't do any good to blow smoke if you can't, perform the service that you say you're going to do. So find somebody, me, that's going to sit down with you and tell you exactly what you can expect when you sell your home. Super important. All right, and then one last thing I want to talk to you guys about today is it's already July, and if you remember, in August, they're going to implement all the changes coming with the NAR lawsuit settlement. So there's really two big ones that are going to affect you as a consumer. The biggest one, or the first one, is that you are no longer going to be able to list a buyer's agent commission in the MLS. That will not be public information anymore. We will have to individually call and ask the listing agent what that person's willing to offer. We have seen some people not offer a commission, but more often than not, the sellers are still willing to pay that buyer's commission. It's just about transparency. It's about getting that information out there and just having a more clear conversation what to expect with that commission number. And the second thing that's going to be that you're really going to feel as a buyer. From now on, starting in August, you will not be able to view a property without having a signed buyer-broker agreement. So I think this is a good thing. I really do believe this is a good thing. If you think about it, as a seller, you would never let me come into your home and start selling your home without having some sort of agreement what's going to happen when it does sell, right? We need a list price, we need commissions, we need a length of the contract, we need all those things. So you'd never let to come in day one and start selling your house, right? So it's kind of the same thing for the buyer now. We're going to have a sit-down conversation before we go out and look and talk about commissions and where that money's going to come from. But here's what I really, guys, want you to know. Don't get tricked, right? Don't walk into an open house. Don't have somebody convince you to sign something. These buyer-broker agreements are 100% negotiable. The commissions are negotiable. The length of time the buyer-broker agreement is for is negotiable. It can be for one day. It can be for 24 hours. It could be for one property. So don't go signing a grand blanketing buyer-broker if you don't know that person. If we sit down and have a conversation and we're completely comfortable with all the things going on and we can sign a 30-day agreement, great. But just don't sign something willy-nilly on the streets because you could get yourself in a lot of trouble. Not in trouble, but you might be stuck working with somebody you don't want to work with. Okay? So all those things are coming up. Should be an interesting summer as we move forward. As an industry, we will work through these changes and everything one step at a time. So have a great summer, get the kids back to school, and we will see you next month. Thanks.